Yo, what's up?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on, Charity? How you doing?
Oh, I can't really hear you. Okay, I can hear you now. Hey,
You hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
What's up? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Man, that's what's up. That's what's up. So, man, I got an exciting topic tonight. I know you've been very involved in what's going on.
Mhm.
Um, so for all of those out there who really don't know, we've been probably all of you know, but some of you don't know, right? Let's just say some of you don't know, or you don't know the whole story. Uh, in the Black conservative movement, there has been a large divide. That large divide is primarily because of social justice issues. Now, there has been a lot of, I would say, cheap shots and interviews, and a lot of people have been basically taking different sides of the spectrum, and it's been really, really getting heated. Me personally, of course, a lot of you that know me, y'all know I am a fighter and a warrior in my community. So therefore, I am going to be able to stand up for what I believe in and my people and not have to compromise. That's me. If you don't like me, guess what? Then it is what it is. But this has it basically started with the Ahmaud Arbery case. You have a lot of blacks who, black conservatives who say, you know what? Let's stop all of the rhetoric about us being victims and, us not being free thinkers and we think like liberals and all of that. A lot of us said, you know what? We're not falling for that because at the end of the day, this young man did not deserve to die. He, in no way, shape, or form, he deserved to die. So we understand fundamentally that we have to stand up for issues that impact us. We have to stand for those young men because all of you saw the tape. All of you know that, hey, this is something that is extremely horrifying. A lot of people were taken aback. A lot of, Democrat, Republican, black, white, whatever, across any spectrum. A lot of us were upset that it happened. However, we had the gatekeepers. And a lot of the gatekeepers, what they did is instead of them looking at it from, the angle of, okay, this is clearly a situation to where this young brother was hunted down, for no apparent reason other than, they. Okay, hold on, Sharice is coming on. Sharice, all right.
I'm in.
Miss Controversy herself. Listen, y'all. I'm gonna let these young ladies talk. Yo, Sharice, I'm gonna just give you a brief introduction of what I know about Sharice. Sharice is very, very, very intelligent. She's very smart. She's a critical thinker. She has a mind of her own, and she's very outspoken. And a lot of times, people don't like that. She does have the ability to. It seems as though with Sharice, people might put her inside of a box, and once she flies outside of that box that you know her for being in, or you think that she's in, you kind of think that you don't know her as much as you used to know her. Or there's something that you lost, and she continues to break that mold. So as you think you caught her just for a quick second, she just jumps away and goes into like a whole nother phase. And a lot of people just can't seem to understand who she is, her personality, what she does, and she like blows my mind. But I'm gonna let these young ladies talk about what's going on, their perspective, and and that looked like some good spaghetti there. Right. So Charity, Sharice, y'all go ahead and y'all kind of let's talk about your perspective on things.
Well, I know when I first watched the video, at first when I seen it all down my timeline, I really didn't want to watch it because I didn't want to see a black man get shot by people. And so I ignored it. And then it kept coming on my timeline. So I saw the video, and the first thing I'm like, okay, this is not right. And then I'm thinking the other black conservative leaders are going to say, okay, this isn't right either. But they're over here talking about, well, like implying that he deserves it. And based on their rhetoric, they're trying to say like, oh no, we're saying like he didn't deserve it. But it seems like they're on the McMichael side. And so I'm over here confused, like, okay, I don't know what's going on. And then it just has like they paint a picture in your head that they're only saying these things for the white audience that they have.
Totally agree. Sharice, okay, Sharice is eating. Once she finished swallowing that, then we'll jump in. But you're totally right. I agree. See, it appears as though, you know, you have the people who are more concerned about book deals, more concerned about, you know, their status amongst, you know, and I'm gonna tell you this one thing that I've learned, because we've all dealt with, you know, white people before, right? Nobody lives in a vacuum. People respect you when you speak your mind. People respect you more, even if they disagree with you. When you can still articulate yourself in a manner that they understand, even if they don't agree, they will back you more when they say, you know what, even though we have our disagreements, oh, they go, Shaka, hold on, Shaka, let me get Shaka on in. Shaka, okay. What's up? Let me get Shaka on in too. But go ahead, Charity. Let me get Shaka in real quick.
Wait, what?
Hey, go ahead, Charity. I will say my piece real quick.
Okay.
I never really like this before because I know it's a lot of drama that comes with it. But, you know, starting out, I thought, you know, yeah, we're going to all agree that they were in the wrong because he's unarmed. They're not policemen.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just taking his daily jog or whatever. Even if he did look inside of a house for under 5 minutes, that doesn't mean he wasn't jogging. I'm not going to necessarily call him a jogger, but that doesn't mean he wasn't jogging. But I'm just shocked by the feedback that I've gotten. I've been called a race, what's it called? A race baiter. I've been said to me that I'm spewing anti-white rhetoric. What else was said to me? That I'm playing the victim. And I'm just like, no, I'm standing for justice for someone who didn't even have a chance to a fair trial, you know? So I do not agree. I might not agree with other conservatives per se, but I'm not saying they don't have a right to think freely, you know. Everybody has a right to think freely. I just wish people would respect my opinion when it comes to that. And it's just been a lot of drama around my opinion on this. And I don't like how I'm being thrown under the bus. People are blaming me and someone else for the black conservative separation, but I'm just like, how can you blame me? It's people's own rhetoric that's separating us. So that's it.
So let me ask you a question, right? What do you feel about the debate that was held last night with everybody? How do you feel? What's your take on that?
I think it was a good chance for other black conservatives who agree and disagree to come to an agree to disagree moment and just let it go from there. But obviously people don't want to let it go. So I don't know what the point of it was. If we're just going to keep attacking each other. I mean, I'm over it at this point. I said what I said. They said what they said. We should just move past this. But obviously some people don't want to move past it. And right. You saw that about me today.
So let me ask you a question, right? And this is like the elephant in the room. Because you listen, I admire you so much, right? Because you take a lot of heat.
I do.
You take the heat. Big Shock.
Yo.
What's going on, my brother?
Man, ain't nothing. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Good to see you, man. Appreciate you for jumping on.
You already know we a lot of people don't know we've been knowing each other for years.
Yes, sir.
So like I said, salute to everybody that's actually active in the community. As far as Therese is a voice, I did something that I always do. You know me from standing up and talking shit to the bad folks, even if it's not popular. So it's like I said, I'm pleased that you got her on the show so she can actually, or the stream so she can actually explain what's going on. The attacks is not cool. I know I'm really hot about that because it's weak, and it's basically him using his wife. Like I said, that's that reverse. I never believed in reverse racism as far as blacks being racist. But when you got a black man and a white woman and y'all playing a race card between both, you know, that's a prime example of today of what reverse racism is. You got a black man that's crying victim about his white wife, which it has nothing to do with her. That post had nothing to do with her at all. It's about natural versus, you know, stepping up your game with your hair or being lame as fuck and not wearing a bonnet.
Right. So kind of explain what happened, because a lot of people might not know exactly what happened. So you want to kind of give the background on that?
I knew that they was going to attack Sharice. I knew that yesterday.
Who's they? You know, who's they? They might need.
I knew Brandon was. I knew Brandon or Bryson was going to attack Sharice, because she was commenting in the post. She wasn't saying nothing disrespectful, but she was commenting in the post. She wasn't cheerleading them. So I knew it when I seen her in the post, not cheerleading them. I was like, oh, they're going to, I knew off top, because I know how, these are just my words. These are not Sharice talking. Right. I don't speak for Sharice. So whatever I say, hold me to it. Don't hold her to it. I know how beta males are. Beta males go for the weakest link. They don't go for somebody that can, and it's not me calling her weak, but compared to a man, as far as, with a platform as big as his, she's the weakest link. So when you look at, her being an innocent 21, she's not mature enough to handle herself in the arena with people that seasoned vets.
She about to jump on you.
Oh, no, it's not just she know how I feel about her. she know how I feel about her. I'm the biggest Sharice supporter. That she never thought she had. It's just, as a man, you don't sit back and allow that shit to go on. So this goes back into me being a black man in my community, watching a black woman get attacked for her being, pro-black or whatever, having a pro-black stance. I'm going to take up every 10 out of 10. I'm going to wake up and take up for you. That's all that is.
Let me explain the context of my tweet. I have black people on my page. I make black jokes all the time. Right. I said, if your wife doesn't wear a bonnet to bed, throw her away. That was directed at black women who wear bonnets. White women, most white women don't wear bonnets. The tweet wasn't for white women. But I guess he thought that it was about his wife and him. So he posted it on his story that I was race baiting. And but just because his wife is white, I'm going against him. When I never mentioned him or his wife, I never even had a problem with them being together. I wasn't thinking about them. I just tweeted it because I wanted to make a joke. I had all this for the past few days. I've been having like some serious conversation on my Twitter, so I wanted to like lighten up the mood. But
right. And that's understandable. So just kind of like some background also from my perspective. Brandon Tatum, of course, the co-founder of BLEXIT, they had a debate last night. And as Shaka said, he kind of like shit his pants or whatever. He kind of like had
He shit the bed last night.
Yeah. he had like an emotional breakdown, right? I mean, I understand, why he got upset, because everybody was basically saying, you are totally anti-black in front of white audiences. When you go in front of white audiences, you always talk about, you can say, okay, I'm speaking the truth, but your statistics are only statistics on black misery. So you're always, speaking about black on black crime. Why would you go in front of a white audience and you speak about black on black crime? Like, what is that supposed? What type of impact is that supposed to have on our community if you're trying to help? Now I can see if you go and talk to a bunch of youth on the corner and you talk about crime that's going on in the community. If you go to a school and you talk about crime that's going on in the community, or you go to some sort of place where you can actually reach that particular target and you talk about that subject. Okay, I totally get it. But when you go and you do these big lectures and you in front of white audiences, and you're talking about, black people always killing each other, and the black, rate is high, and you're going on and you're saying these things, and then you jump from that, then you start talking about black fatherlessness, and black fathers aren't in the home, and I mean, yes, even if what you're saying is a fact, why are you saying it to the audience in which you're saying it? And why aren't you talking about black home ownership? Why aren't you talking about tax breaks that are going to stimulate small black-owned businesses? Why aren't you talking about policies that you can push and that they can push to their senators or legislators that can help economic development or education in the black community? People are mad because they feel as though what him and Candace are doing is they're grandstanding for their audience, and they're giving them an excuse to basically ignore us, discriminate against us, and say negative things and have these negative rebuttals when we try to, point out things that are going on systemically in our system. So Brandon was called out. Yep. And after he got called out, then, like Shaka said, he just shit the bed, man. He started, listen, I'm going to tell you like this, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I think the real Brandon came out, right? That's him.
That's Officer Tatum.
Yeah.
I speak for me, only for me. Like I said, I know a lot of people got things going on. You talked about brand, having a brand last week. I understand everything about the brand. I understand that too. That's why when I talked about Sharice, I said these are only my views. These are my views and my views only.
Right.
Somebody called. Sorry about that. These are my views and my views only. Like, I'm speaking for myself, so this doesn't reflect, Shakim's, business. This doesn't affect, what's her name, Charity. Peace to you, Charity. Doesn't affect Charity or Sharice. This is just me talking. So hold me accountable for my words, nobody else.
Listen,
we seen Officer Tatum show up.
Listen,
that's what you seen. That's the black officer that don't want black people talking about what he's not doing in the community, or people don't realize that they have a lot of self-hatred, that what he was spilling to himself, what he was spilling to us is he was trying to protect himself. So everything that he was saying is what he's saying in the mirror. Oh, how many black lives have you resuscitated? These are things that keep him, what we seen psychologically was him reflecting on what keeps him sane or close to sane every day. He has to tell himself that he protect black people and he put his life out for black people and he resuscitated black people to save their life. Those were just merely internal shit as far as reflection of what he says every day to keep him sane. And he put that shit out there, and I'm just like, y'all lucky I'm not on this debate. I would nail his ass to the damn, to the wall, because it's like, they allowed him to say certain things like, how many black lives have you saved or resuscitated? But I would have asked him, how many black people you seen get beat by the police down at the police department and you didn't jump in and save them? That would have been my counter offer. So it depends. Like I said, it showed a lot. I respect the hoteps, but if you're not actually boots on the ground in the community, you don't know how to counter anything. It's not genuine. So it's just, it becomes personal attacks. Me, we boots on the ground. You one person that I can vouch for. I know you're in the community.
Right.
Me, I'm one person that constantly stays in my community.
Right.
Those are things that, they wouldn't want to debate with me and you versus the establishment, black conservative. It's a no-brainer. Like I said, it's an easy win because we're actually walking the walk. That black on black violence shit, we out there, we fight against that. If you want to say it's such a thing, we fight against, as far as our brothers and sisters killing each other, fighting. We speak positivity in life to our community. Like, they want to tell you that it doesn't exist. It does exist. You got two brothers right here that do it.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Sharice,
I challenge anybody.
I was about to say,
to sit down and not have a shit fest, but something that will actually benefit. What can the black community benefit from that debate? Nothing really. We got some laughing points. But what has it done to repair the relationship? This was a good time for BLEXIT to sit back and be humble and actually listen to each other. If that was as far as the program, but this shit fest, I'm bigger than you, my ego's bigger than you, and all that's not doing anything to progress black people or black conservatives. Black people are conservative by nature.
Right. Sharice got something. Sharice, go ahead, Sharice. You got something to say? Go ahead, jump in, Sharice.
I'm gonna say, like, I'm not gonna put all my business on there, but I was just really hurt about what's been said about me. I'm getting messages from Brandon's followers, hate
My
messages.
audio is not playing. I apologize.
Your audio? You might have to jump out and jump back in. Your audio?
New to StreamYard.
Oh, okay. No, Shaka said no. He said he couldn't hear you. I don't think. But go ahead, Sharice.
I'm really hurt because I'm getting messages from his followers, like basically blaming everything on me, saying I'm making this about race, saying.
But since I had a phone call, do I back out and come back in? Or
yeah, back in. That might have cut him out. Okay. Go ahead, Sharice.
It's up to me. Anyway. Again, I'm getting messages from his followers, basically saying like they're so ashamed of me, and I'm making this about race and stuff. The message that he put out to this. From the message you put out today, and that's why I was kind of upset because I'm like, if you thought that I was making it about you, all you had to do was message me and we could have been good. That's what adults do. But he let somebody get in his head. Somebody originally, I don't know this person, but they've been obsessively posting about me, negative stuff about me, and they tagged Brandon and Corinne, and both of them hopped on that. I guess because Brandon is mad that I'm not siding with him on this case. And they hopped on that and took it and ran with it and basically, posted me on their story. And I was really upset. Like, I had to call some people to calm down because I feel betrayed. And I've been a part of this movement so long. I can't believe what I'm seeing. The fact that was even today, how hurt I am about it. And how many people I had to talk to calm me down and reassure me that the plan that God has for me, he still wants for me, and that this is not the end for me. But
right, and you know what? And Shaka, and matter of fact, Charity, you got something to say because you've been kind of listening. You want to say something?
I just feel like overall, it's just hypocrisy that you have these people say the left is name callers, but then when someone doesn't agree with them on the right, they want to call them a name caller. They want to name call them. They want to call them fake conservative. They want to get their little leaders to go on someone else and just bash them. And I don't think it's the end for you. I know you're going to be great, so I wouldn't let it get in your head too much. But like, I just thought it was ridiculous how he let some words get to him to the point he had to lash out on people. That's what got me the most, is that if you want to say use logic and not emotion, you just contradicted yourself. And that really kind of I was just shocked overall.
And to post it, that's what really got me. Now his followers are in my inbox condemning me and calling me racist and all of this, when the tweet was about Black women. I make jokes like that all the time. I have Black people following my page. I just wanted to lighten the mood, so I made that joke. And when I woke up this morning, I didn't expect to see that.
Right. And one of the things that shock, I know you can kind of follow me on this too. One of the things that really has me upset, right? Brandon, from the time that I've met Brandon and talked to him, listened to him speak, he's a devout Christian, he's saved, he has, the desire to say he wants more and to be a leader. When you're in a position of leadership, everybody makes mistakes, everybody slips. But you have to understand, I think he owes everybody an apology, right? Especially the organization BLEXIT, right? He owes BLEXIT, not only BLEXIT an apology, but all of us in general, because, when one of your platforms is, Black on Black crime and how you want to solve and stop Black on Black crime, you're engaging in the same rhetoric that you're condemning on a day-to-day basis, and you're using that as a means to downgrade Black people and say that this is the reason why you feel we're in last place. So now, whenever you start engaging in that same behavior, now all of a sudden it's appropriate, and you've never made any amends with people who are watching you, people who following you. You're just killing the whole organization. Now you take an innocent tweet that a young lady puts up, who's dedicated a lot of hard work to BLEXIT. She puts up a tweet, and all she does is basically say, talk about Black women with bonnets, and you go on a rampage because you feel that she's desecrating the image of your white wife, and your white wife doesn't even wear a hair bonnet. So how did you just, for some reason, you were waiting? That just shows that he was waiting on something to pick on, right? So the first thing that he could think of that he can use to attack her, he jumped on it. Because there's no way you can, correlate the two. So I think it's a move that's cowardice. I think he needs to apologize. Everybody who's going in Sharice's inbox talking about, she's a fake conservative and things like that. I think you need to check yourself, right? Because we cannot allow this particular action to continue going on without us condemning it. So it's horrible.
I agree. And like I said, you stand up. Like I said, one thing about me and you had our differences because you played the peacemaker all the time. And like I said, this is our first time talking about this. But me and Shaquille had differences because I was like, get these motherfuckers out of here. I don't want to deal with them. They're bad for the movement. They're bad for progress. And I still, like I said, he's like, no, let's unite, let's sit down. So he's the peace. I give him that, and that's who he is. If I had to say one thing about Shaquille, he's the peacemaker. He's always going to find the good inside somebody, and then try to work that angle. Me, I just say throw the baby out the window, and let's keep it going. Hey. So Sharice, listen to me. I tell you all the time that you're bigger than the movement. You're bigger than the box. Never think that it's over for you. I think I inboxed you probably like a couple months ago, and I said, when you get that job as senator or congresswoman, I said, what? You better hire me. Did I not tell you that? I said I better have a job when you get that senator job down in Florida. I need a job. So that's why it's like this. That BLEXIT movement is over in November. It's done. November, you can't vote. Trump can't get 3 terms. BLEXIT is done in November. Now, what's going to take over next? That can be something that you bring up for young black women or young black men or both. So now this is your time to sit back and say, okay, what do I want to do as a young black conservative that's still vibrant and still, like I said, you got character. BLEXIT is over in November.
And you know what? And one thing that I want to say, right? Like, you got to be careful when you're an organization, and you got to think it's bigger than just you. You can't have your leader constantly downgrading black people, and then you have people in your organization going in the black community trying to speak to them about leaving or separating from the Democratic Party. You're never gonna find that to be possible when what you're bringing is some. From what he said last night, I might as well have stayed in the dope game. You know what I'm saying? That right?
People don't even know what you're talking about, but I know what you're saying. Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. I might as well, stay, being a vice lord, gangbanger, so it's like, that's where we at. And that's what a lot of people don't get is you have a lot of white people that's upset with Sharice right now today because they don't know that, Sharice been tired. I've been, like I said, I'm an observer. I'm a people watcher. She's been tired of being pulled and trying to be forced to think a certain way. I always say, stop fucking explaining yourself, Sharice. And I'm gonna tell you again, stop explaining. They don't care, So you have to live as a black woman. They don't have to live as that. They can go on to do whatever it is. It's easy for them. You need to figure out what's the next niche. What can you do to benefit? And I know you can do it. What can you do to benefit the black conservatives and have your own? I think you should have your own youth conference. You're able to do it. It's some white people that still support you. There's some black people that still support you. Now, the quote unquote established people like the Brandon Tatums, you don't need them. They need people like you. You the one that brought, blackness to BLEXIT. If you really want to be, that was your strong point. Even if you wasn't in it, you was affiliated with it. So you got to see a young black sister that was natural, love being black, and she wasn't, this quote unquote sellout. She still had her culture. That's what you need to realize. They benefited off of you.
And my problem is I get attacked for supporting and like celebrating my culture. Like I get called racist for that too. The fact I tweeted that I want to date black men. I get called racist for that. I tweeted that I'm pro-black. I get called racist for that. I even tweeted about supporting black businesses, and I get called racist for that. And I'm just like, what's even at this point? I'm gonna still associate myself with being conservative, but sometimes I think, what's even the point of associating myself with conservatives? They're gonna call me racist too for every little thing. Like, why can't I embrace my black culture? I'm black. What's the problem?
I can explain it, and I know Shakim can explain it for you too. We've been doing this for probably decades. So I'm just gonna keep it like you. When I tell you to keep doing what you're doing, I'm not saying that because I want to jump in your inbox or I'm bored. I'm telling you that you're bigger as far as when people see that you can be an individual, they're going to gravitate to you. Whenever you got to harness yourself, and I'm not saying that you ever did or be associated with something, you have gatekeepers or leaders that's over you. So whenever you say, I'm Sharif, this is who I am, I'm coming to my own, I'm coming out, that's when you become that powerhouse. Me, I support Trump. I never affiliated with BLEXIT. I never affiliated with TP US. I still got my own crowd. Why? Because I got character. I'm bringing something to substance. And a lot of white folks love when you accept your culture. A lot of them do. Some don't, but a lot of them love when you can sit back and look at them and say, I'm black. Okay, and.
But then some of them be following after the black people who tell me, you're not black, you're American. I'm both. I have black people.
You can't let them strip. Don't never let them strip you. I always tell my crowd, and I'll speak, and then you can just listen, so you won't have to say nothing. I tell the white folks on my page, I'm Pan-African first, period, point blank, and I support Trump. Anything else to make me forget that I'm African is the same tools that they used during slavery to make them forget their culture, to make them forget where they come from. Once you do that, you're gone. Even I'm not a Bible person, but I know you deal with the Bible. It says, know thyself. If you don't know thyself and then you let somebody program you to what they want you to be, you done already broke that law. So knowing thyself, knowing that you're an African black woman, you can be African American. Never take the African off. That takes away from you. That takes away from your value. So make sure that if they're going to, accept you for being African, that's when they really rock with you. If they don't want to accept you for that, then right now, both of y'all pretending. Don't pretend with people.
Right. One of the things that makes it worse, right, is a lot of the organizations like Turning Point and they give the microphone to those people who say things like that. So it seems like they're amplifying their message, but in all honesty, it's not hitting our community. Our community doesn't accept that philosophy. Our community doesn't accept that ideology. But since they have that microphone, then it appears as if, they're the I would say the end all, stand all, and the beginning and the end, the alpha and omega of black thought in the conservative realm, but they're not. So it's almost like the people right now who have the big microphone, who they shovel all these dollars to, they can't come in my community. They don't know nothing about them. They don't know who these people are. They're only popular in their circles. So that makes them think that these people have so much power, but outside of that, they're really powerlessness. And they say things like, I'm not pro-black, I'm pro-American. Well, why can't I be pro-black? Right. Why? What's wrong with me loving the way how God created me? What's wrong with me embracing my culture? See, what they've done is they've made it appear as though our culture is negative. So when Candace says things like our culture is a joke, how does that make white people perceive us when Candace Owens jumps in and says our culture is a joke? See, we know that that's a lie. We know our culture is beautiful. If it wasn't beautiful, everybody wouldn't try to emulate it at every chance they get. They wouldn't try to monetize it and profit off of it every chance they get. So if our culture was really a joke, then we wouldn't even have to worry about being our culture being monetized and appropriated. Right. So we know Candace said what she said was a lie. But when she's given that huge microphone, and that audience thinks that, whoa, this is correct, their culture is a joke. That's where we have to jump in and start banding together and saying, no, we're gonna combat that. We're gonna give rebuttals. We're gonna combat it. We're gonna debate you. We're gonna, we're gonna push policy that's totally opposite of what y'all are doing. And I think that's where we can really start creating think tanks that will allow us to create ideas that's going to better our communities and come pushing ideas that's going to help with affordable housing, that's going to help with infrastructure, that's going to help with education, that's going to help with, just bringing more access to opportunities inside our community. But if we keep following the clown show, then all we're going to do is talk about Black fatherlessness. We're going to talk about single mothers. We're going to talk about, just things that really, they're true, but we're not, like Maj said, we're not being solutionaries.
Right. Exactly. And I'm all about solutions. That reactionary stuff is not, I reacted this morning because I'm always going to stand up for a Black woman. Period. Like that's a no-brainer. I jumped in front of the bus for 100 times. One thing that I do see is they monopolize. There's no voices. I said this yesterday on my live. A lot of people don't understand what racism is. Racism is not talking about a bonnet. Racism is not me saying the N-word. Racism is not them saying the N-word. Racism is not me saying the C word or the Cracker Jack word, whatever the case be. Racism is not even a KKK hat. Racism is a system, a power structure, and a lot of people don't seem to understand that. So for me to trip up some folks, I had to explain how racism works. Racism is who put Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum as the representatives of the Black community. The Black people didn't.
No, it's damn sure didn't.
Did we vote on it? No, you had a white person tell us, these are your leaders. These are your representatives of the conservative party. These are the examples. These are the blueprints. We didn't get a choice. And we got to follow them. And they're the gatekeepers of, let's go attack this person. Let's tear them down. Let's go attack her this morning. Let's tear down her platform. So now you have this same, and I'm going to come out and say it. During, like I said, during history, you have those type of people that will sell us to the slave masters or tell where we were sleeping at so they can invade. And they'll sell us out for cologne, spices, some potted meat. These are the people that don't care about the Black community, and they tell you that they don't care, but we insist on keep following them. Candace told me everything I need to know. Brandon I didn't have to go dig. Their own words told me that they don't give a fuck about my people. They tell you that. They don't hide it. It's not like aha, I got you moment. They tell you that. I'm going to say this, and I'm done. Candace's only way of showing that she had any Black ties was showing her granddad that went through slavery or was going through the KKK where they were shooting up the house. That was her trying to solidify that she was Black. She had to go get her granddaddy to try to relate to any Blackness because she doesn't relate to the Black community. And that was her way of doing it. And I caught on to that shit. And I said, damn, they real tricky as hell. So she went to Congress and brought her granddad. And that was her only way. The granddad was supposed to solidify her as a Black woman, or that she went through some stuff or some trials and tribulations. And that's what it was. They gotta try to feel, like Brandon Tatum said, he resuscitates Black folks. I don't have to come out and tell people what I do for Black people. It's already legit.
Yeah. And one thing that he said that kind of really disturbed me yesterday is he basically implied that anytime an injustice happens,
they're criminals.
They're criminals.
Yeah.
He-
All right.
I was
Oh my God.
every time something like this happens with another race killing somebody black, the black man is automatically the criminal. Why?
Yep.
Why can't we give them the benefit of the doubt just like the other side?
Right.
Yep.
And see, when he said that, I was mad. I was upset because nobody gave a rebuttal.
Nobody.
Kind of like everybody just sat there. I mean, Philando Castile, he wasn't a criminal. I mean, he was a legal gun-carrying citizen. Trayvon Martin wasn't a criminal.
Yep.
Like a lot of them weren't. Like a lot of them aren't criminals. So, but what happens is that in order and he's so used to, appealing to an audience that wants to hear that, he's not critically thinking for himself and saying, you know what, not all of these guys are criminal, but he's adopted that mentality and he's spewing that rhetoric to that crowd, and they cheer and they jump for joy, and he's not really thinking. He's just spitting talking points that's going to get him another speaking engagement.
Yep. See, like talking points ain't gonna work with me. Talking points ain't gonna work with you. When you have talking points, I already know what your angle is going to be. It's talking points. It's already blueprint. It's a cookie cutter response. That's why I was upset with the Hotep, and I'll say that I'm upset with them because they allowed it to go on. They allowed him to tap dance, and like I said, that now I got to question their activity within the black community. Are you really active in the black community, or is this all internet shit? So this is, and there's no beef between me and them. It's just me being somebody that's boots on the ground.
Right.
How did y'all allow that to? I already knew what you said you was mad about. I already caught on to it.
I already knew.
And I'm just like, how are y'all? That debate would have went totally different, and it wouldn't got violent. He would have probably got off because he didn't have nothing else to say. But it's like, how are you in charge of any urban engagement and you're not even in the black community? I'm Shaka Shakur. I'm in charge of suburban white engagements. I'm the leader of that. And then I'm not in the white community. Like, white people gonna run me the fuck out. But we keep them. We keep them.
Right. And that's another thing and Sharice, you was about to say something? Because you was about to say something?
Somebody did ask him on the YouTube, are black people criminals? And he said yes. So
he said that. And I cringed because when I debated, a lot of people didn't watch the debate between me and Bryson. Ate his ass the fuck up. And I did it in a manner that I didn't want to give. I heard, like I said, my mom, she's deceased. My mom will always tell me, never give white people a show when it's black on black. So I was still coming to him as a brother saying, hey, I see he's getting angry, but as a black man, I'm like, I didn't come on here to tear you down, but he's so emotional that everything is an attack.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't even have a civil conversation because their whole programming goes against disrespecting the black community. So to get them to try to uplift the black community, they can't do it because their white supporters are going to treat them like how they treat Sharice for being pro-black or saying that she desired to marry a black man. What's wrong with? I wouldn't get mad at a white person saying I want to marry a white man. Like if a white woman say I want to marry a white.
Yeah,
good. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me.
For a long time about it. And I think people are happy that this is finally happening. Obviously they don't want me in this movement, so I'm going to remove myself.
You are the movement.
I can't keep going through the tears and my blood pressure high and all of this. I can't do it. I'm a college student. I'm gonna put more of my energy into that and other stuff because they obviously don't want me in this. So
you got sayers and doers and people who just want you to think like them. I wouldn't even stress about it because it feels like with us being black conservatives and within the conservative movement, they think that, in order for you to be like an actual conservative, you can't agree with nothing black. You can't agree with anything being black because you're a race baiter. What they say to you, anti-white rhetoric or something like that. They call you all these whatevers just because you're not agreeing with them. And I just think it's ridiculous because you have people who aren't going to think like you. And within the Republican Party, conservative movement, you're going to need disagreements in order for us to come together. You have to address these issues and call people out and say how it is. And they want to get mad at you for saying, oh, this is wrong. And they're like, no, it's not. You're race baiting. And it's like, okay, whatever. So I wouldn't even express it.
I like your bonnet for the record. You know,
very symbolic. Very in support of Sharice. But I think the next topic that we need to really start talking about is how a message of empowerment in our community is going to override or supersede the rhetoric of lambasting Black people and turning Black people off. Like, we got to find out how can one override the other. How can we marginalize that rhetoric that they've been speaking for so long? And how can we help? Because if you say your goal is for Black people to exit the Democratic Party, then your strategy has to match your strategy has to match your rhetoric, your speech. But if your strategy and your rhetoric totally coincide with each other, then you're never going to accomplish your goal. So that's why we have to really kind of look with suspicion sometime and say, is your goal really to get Black people to leave the Democratic Party, or is your goal for you to sell books and get a deal or to get speaking engagement? Because
that's what it is. You answered your own question.
Yeah.
I believe the GOP wants a couple Black people, but like not too many of y'all. My mama said a lot of y'all can't come in my house. It's only a couple that they want, and it's like it's proof because you starting to see that the Rail Scott. You're starting to see that other people, that's in the Trump administration is not lining up with BLEXIT. So it's like anybody that's watching that, you got Trump folks not aligning up with what, TPS USA, whatever it is, Turning Point USA or BLEXIT, they're not lining up. So it's like, why do Trump folks get it and everybody else doesn't? So that's why I always say that a lot of things that Trump get blamed for is because of his supporters.
It's supporters. Because even
his supporters are putting out those narratives and those agendas, and it's not Trump. So he's getting a lot of flack because of the supporters and this stuff that Trump even said, hey man, let me this shit don't sound right. Ivanka Trump said she spoke out, so it's like why can't y'all listen to Trump with everything else, but when it comes to Black and white issues, y'all don't want to, you can't help but to harp on it. Like a lot of these people can't help it because they'd rather call Sharice or me or, Charity or Shakim racist, but they're the real racist. It's the projection, that's all it is. And it's like, they really call this woman pure racist because she said something about a bonnet, but then they'll tell you that racism doesn't exist. And the Democrats are the real racists. Like, how did a bonnet become? And it's white people that like saying,
white folks that's checking it, but it's like, man, I get what she's saying, but I wouldn't tell her to take herself out of. She already has momentum as a young woman. Being a conservative is not something that you jump in and jump out. Conservatives is just being a way of life, so if that's all I can say to her is keep your head up, keep fighting. I support you, my people support you, and I got a gang of folks. I might not be a Twitter head, but I got a gang of people that support you. So,
word, yeah. And Sharice, like I said, I
appreciate y'all, man. I said I gotta do my family duties.
Okay, yes, sir, brother. Well, I'm glad you came on, man. We appreciate you 1,000%. Most definite. I think Shaka might not be able to hear. You can't hear? Oh, okay. But yeah, so just kind of like wrapping it up, I do support you 100%. I want for you the best. Keep your head up, and just realize sometime, is he coming? Okay, hold on. He's coming back in. Hold on.
Yeah.
Get him.
Yeah.
You back in? You can hear now?
Yeah, I can hear it now.
Okay. All right. So I was just giving Sharice some words of encouragement also because I was telling her a lot of times when, when people at the top start gunning for you, you know that's when you gain the momentum. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times you don't reach for the small fish in the pond.
Yep.
You only go at people who you think are a threat to you.
Threat.
So if I'm like LeBron James didn't respond to Candace. Candace took her shot at LeBron. LeBron, he didn't respond because he's like, man, who's this? You know what I'm saying? Like even Jay-Z was talking about it. Like if I shoot you,
I'm brainless.
Yeah.
If you shoot me, then you famous. What's
Yeah,
nigga to do? It's like, yeah, And I hope she get it because that's your message is the same as my message. She's bigger than if you got Brandon Tatum coming at you, which is a co-founder of BLEXIT, he's not going to waste his time with you if you're not a threat. He got to try to diminish you or smear you so people won't gravitate to you because you don't need them.
Yep. Man, that's crazy, man. I really still can't grasp the fact that a grown man would be coming at a young lady in college, just getting her life together, finding herself, like why? Well, like what do you gain out of doing that? From a simple tweet, So
And sharing my,
your phone breaking up, Sharice.
You heard me? You hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
I said I heard the group chat sharing my talking about me really, really bad and stuff like that. So like I said, at this point, they don't want me in this. So I'm gonna remove myself. I don't need this heartache.
Yeah. Hey, I feel you, right? But this is the thing. You're not a part of what they are anyway. So what are you removing yourself from? You're not a part of their establishment. So if you remove yourself, you're not even there. So, I mean, what is it? They're basically right now just trying to find a way to, like Shaka said, silence you. But we're gonna stay there. We're gonna stay with you. We're gonna stay in support of you. I got your back. Shaka got your back. A lot of people got your back. Charity got your back. And you got a lot of people that does have your back. We just want to make sure that we got to give some pushback to the gatekeepers. Like we got to give them pushback and let them know that right now we're struggling with trying to bring resources in our community. We want opportunities for advancement. We want to level the playing field. We're not asking for no handout. We're not asking for anything. All we're saying is we want an opportunity for us to excel and to thrive in the same manner that everybody else gets an opportunity to excel and to thrive. That is what you say conservatism is about, us being able to have that opportunity. Everybody can have the American dream. We want to just see you live up to that. Right. We don't want to constantly, see somebody in front of us who, like I said, you never hear them quote any statistic on a gain or anything in the Black community. You never see them implementing programs that are solutions to the ills that they talk about so much. So how can we put our faith in you that you're going to resurrect the people who you say are lost when you haven't even provided a solution that is going to, elevate the minds of them? You haven't even started a conversation that is going to elevate the people. You don't even have a voice or a connection in that community. You can't come like all of a sudden they can't come in there right now. I can't walk in my hood right now and say, that's one of the reasons why I had to back off, because I got a reputation. I do things in my community. I can't walk in the hood right now and be like, man, listen, man, I want y'all to join BLEXIT. Man, them dudes might pull a gun out on me. It might be another Arbery
right.
case.
And that's what I told Grayson that, and he didn't, and basically not Grayson, but Bryson. I told Bryson the same situation, and he didn't get it because it's like, I'm not telling somebody that they gotta be super Crip, super blood, thugged out. No, but I'm telling them the codes of the street, and he didn't understand. I said, you can't go to the Black community and then talk the way you talk and then wear that hat. They're gonna smoke you.
Oh. Ain't no way.
They'll smoke you. But if I wear my hat, sometimes, and I know the lingo. I can talk.
Right.
And I'm not degrading nobody. I know how to speak. We know how to speak life into the black community. That's what we've been doing for years, even before Trump ran. So if you can't speak life into the community, you're opposition, and they know that. So like I said, Sharice, I hear that you down, and I don't like it. I'm gonna be a buck, because these motherfuckers is, you live and you learn. You still young. Like I said, BLEXIT is done in November. Now you get to flourish and do whatever you want to do, and you don't have to answer to nobody. You can start your own. There's people out here that will support you. Trust me. It's a lot of white folks that will support you, and then you're gonna have the other half that's fucked up. Even during slavery, you had some white folks that didn't fuck with it, and you had some that did. So it depends on what you pick or what crowd you choose. Your crowd might be a little bit smaller, but I like quality over quantity.
Bingo. Quality over quantity.
So that's what I don't like being in where I get so many likes, and then I say something, then they come with, let's get them.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that you got to realize. When I tell you that racism is not just name calling, it's a power structure. Meaning these folks that donate to you, or these folks that like your stuff or share your stuff, as soon as you say something wrong, they feel that they own you. That's power. So I helped you out. I gave you this. I liked your stuff. I supported you. Now you got to do it and think the same way I do. You got to nip that. You can only change that. Nip that shit in the ass. Stop explaining yourself. I can probably screenshot how many times I told you stop explaining yourself over the last year. And you'll be like, damn, you did say a lot of times. Stop explaining. People do not care. They don't give a shit. They want you to dance to whatever they want you to dance with. You can't do it. You're different. Just embrace it. That's all you can do. It's like, embrace that you're not a sellout. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Like I told you at the beginning of the call that we're on now, it's people have been so used to, at a certain point, I guess, when they met her, in the beginning of her evolution, they saw her in one particular manner and they put her in that box. So as she began to grow and to move and operate, she started going outside of that box that people had automatically built for her in their minds. When she penetrated that box, they got upset. They felt that, man, this isn't the person that I know. So that's normally with everybody. So, we just got to keep going. We just got to keep moving. We just got to keep going in our communities. We got to make sure that, like Shaka said, we are proud to be who we are unapologetically. So what if you don't get 35,000 likes for saying, black people culture is a joke? Hey, if it takes me to get 35,000 likes and I have to say our culture is a joke, I don't want 35,000 likes. If I have to say, our culture, we're bottom feeders. If I got to say that black people are bottom feeders to get 120,000 likes, I don't need those likes. If I got to say black people, are criminals in order to get speaking engagements, I don't want the speaking engagement.
Man.
So if I have to make myself look like a fool intellectually in order for me to be accepted by an organization, then they got the wrong thing coming. And that's the same thing with you. That's the same thing with all of us. So, I appreciated the bill. Charity, you got something to say?
Oh, yeah. I couldn't agree more with you shouldn't explain yourself and that people do not care what you have to say. I have people in my comments all the time calling me, a liberal and saying I'm fake. And my friends, I have one friend, Ari, she always used to tell me, stop explaining yourself. She was like, these people don't care. And I'm typing essays up in my comments about why I'm right. And then these people, they don't care about what you have to say, because at the end of the day, they want you to agree with them. If you don't agree, it just goes straight through their heads. So I just think you just gotta keep pushing. If you see people get threatened when they see greatness in you, when they see that you are right, but they don't want to actually acknowledge it. So they're gonna keep on trying to tear you down.
Right. So, brother,
you went from
you want to answer that question, Shaka? Brother on the screen.
What does it mean to be a conservative? Conservative is just mainly conserving the way of life. It could be culture, it could be heritage. Conservative is bigger than government. Conserving, big families. As far as black people, we conserve big families. A lot of black people, we're religious folks, we're God-fearing folks. So when you don't conserve certain things that we have, I'm not religious. But when you conserve those things, you basically keeping the tradition going that kept you a knit, as far as a close knit, a bond. And, some people, if you deal with the Constitution, that's fine as well. But a lot of people that's conservative, that's white conservatives, they don't even respect their Constitution because just stop and frisk and just how black people got treated since we've been here is unconstitutional. So it's okay if it happened to us. But when it happened to, white conservatives dealing with let's say the recent shutdown, where they go to the protests and they're getting their ass beat by the police, they're getting drugged. Now everybody's in the outrage. So that's why I said conservatism has two different meanings depending if you playing politics. I don't play politics with my race. I just don't. Like I said, because people are only going to agree so far with you. Whenever I say, hey, I want a strong black family, then you're racist.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand.
But you're conserving. I want you to know this because you've been struggling with it. You're conserving black lives and black families when you can sit back and say, I want a black husband. What you're doing is repopulating a population that's been depopulated. And if anybody has a problem with that, then they're part of the agenda of depopulating the black community or the black population. I have no problem with people that's in interracial relationships. You do you. But if I say that I want to be with a black woman and have black kids, that's not racist.
Right. So when I and I appreciate that, Shaka. So to answer this question too, when I think about conservatism, right, you start thinking about things like Shaka said, the Constitution, like a lot of gun rights, like a lot of people's Second Amendment, right? We want to be able to protect ourselves, right? Protection ultimately is critical to conserving anything. Protection. If you want to have a family, you want to be able to protect your family, right? So if somebody infringes upon your right, you want to be able to protect your business, right? The way how you make your money, being able to protect everything that you work to own, to build, or to create. That's a part of conserving or being a conservative. When you start looking at a lot of the values, like Shaka said, family values, being able to build strong families, being able to, have that strong sense of community. That's a part of what conservatism really is. When you start looking at limited government, people don't want so much government in their lives to where, we are governed by an authority that doesn't have our best interests in mind. If you're black and you say that you fear institutional racism, then institutional racism is built upon bigger government. The more and more government has control, the government can say or discriminate in a manner in which they deem to be necessary. So if I want less government control over my life, that means I have the ability to do things without being hindered in any way, shape, or form. Yes, government does have to get involved at times for checks and balances to make sure capitalism doesn't, just kind of blow out of the water and people start, getting these unfair advantages and things like that. So, there is going to have to be checks and balances. But, when you start talking about things like taxes, right? We don't want to be overtaxed as a people because that money is leaving and going somewhere else that probably we don't have control over. So we want, of course, limited taxes. We want to be able to, be entrepreneurs, be free, be able to start. I don't want to have to go just like you catch a weed charge, right? This is why I believe marijuana should be legal. I think that conservatives, along with Democrats, need to start talking about decriminalization of marijuana. If I get a marijuana charge, now I can't go and get a real estate license. I can't go and get a student loan. You know, I can't get student aid. It's a lot of things that
it's a lot of even you know, renting a house or an apartment. You know,
exactly.
yeah, that
Yup,
you know.
exactly. And we're talking about, you know, I think that should be a part of our platform, decriminalization. You start talking about prison reform. See, these are the things that you would think Black conservatives who have that big microphone would be talking about. That should be their driving points. You don't hear them talking about prison reform. You hear them blaming, they're victim blaming instead of saying, okay, well, how can we? They say, okay, well, Ahmaud had on khaki shorts. Okay, so how do you know that he was in a situation where he can afford the
basketball short? Yeah.
Exactly. He might have been in a situation he only could have bought a pair of $5 khaki shorts. You never know. People aren't in the same boat economically. So, you know, when you start talking about prison reform, you know, instead of beating them down in the head about black on black crime, this is what I did. Somebody asked me this the other day, and I'm gonna make it really quick. Somebody asked me, well, what do you think Candace should have said to LeBron James? You know, just kind of getting on talking. So if I was Candace Owens, I would have said, LeBron, listen here. Now, I don't believe that Black people are hunted like every time we walk out the door. That may be a little sensationalism, right? Okay, you might be going a little hard, little high there. Nevertheless, this man pays for children to go to college. This man pays for family members to go to college. This man has partnered with people to create a school. He's pumping his money and pumping his dollars into somewhere that matters. People love LeBron James. That was an opportunity for Candace Owens to connect with LeBron and say, hey, how can BLEXIT come and help you in initiatives as far as education is concerned? Bridging the gap. See, you don't have to go and beat these people down like LeBron James, who putting their money in the community. Why don't you form a partnership and talk to LeBron? You calling a man stupid. This man isn't stupid. This man ain't ignorant. He's doing a lot. So you
I don't. You know, like I said, I don't agree with LeBron, you know, all the time, but I know he's stupid. Damn sure. You know, and you know, one thing, like I said, if they said they called me earlier, BLEXIT would have been like, hey, Shaka, we need, you know, come on down, let's have a meeting, you know, before all this shit, then, you know, they got exposed for not doing what they say they do. I would have set up a prison, you know, like I said, I would have set up a prison, like a program where we actually go talk to inmates that's about to get out, about to be released. And okay, how can we situate you and get you in a situation where you can, you know, achieve getting a job, getting home, getting financially straight, getting your kids back. Well, it's so much stuff that they could do, and they have the resources. Whenever you can sit next to Donald Trump, you can sit next to Ivanka, you can sit next to Don Jr., and you don't bring up anything that can actually benefit the Black community. In 4 years, you have no real program, but you have the people to actually do it. You're a fraud.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I respect about Kanye, at least when Kanye got to Trump, he started asking about all kind of stuff. I don't care what nobody, you can call Kanye stupid, ignorant, whatever you want to. At the end of that day, that man got in front of Trump and he asked for tangible solutions.
Yep.
Man even went talking about freeing Larry Hoover, even if he couldn't do it well, but still, he still brought it up. Yeah.
And I think it was a dope, you know, like I said, man, we can talk about that just on street code.
Yep.
It would have been dope to see Larry Hoover get out. Yeah. And then actually Larry Hoover put in programs within Chicago where, you know, people couldn't, you know, they wanted to leave this life and then they didn't know how to get out or you know, needed protection or needed a solution to get. That would have been actually dope. That's something that, you know, I was like, how y'all calling Kanye names? And all he did was present things that benefit Black folks.
Yeah.
That's all he did.
That's it.
You know, so I don't know. What do we know? Nothing. Yeah. But I appreciate everybody on here. Charity, I don't know you, but it's nice to meet you.
Likewise.
We can. I don't know what platforms you're on, but hopefully, you know, we can, you know, add each other, friend each other, go from there. Sharice, I'm gonna need you to pick that chin up, make me some TikTok videos. Yeah. I need you to keep your socks on though. Socks on.
Ooh.
Sharice dance better with socks on. I'm just gonna put it out there. When she got socks on, the dance moves be on point. Whenever she put on something else, I'll be like, you almost had it, boo. But keep the socks on.
Word.
But Shaquille, like I said, I'm proud to know you. As far as I know you're gonna do whatever you got to do in the Black community.
Word.
It's a no-brainer. We got to do certain things, sacrifice certain things, and keep it pushing. Thank you. Like I said, whenever you need me to come on, let me know. I'll slide through. But
yeah,
we are our own movement. Like I said, as far as we're in the Black community. Nobody's gonna save us but us.
Yes, sir. All right, Sharice, you want the last word? Let's give you the last word. Give us some hope. Give us some hope and inspiration.
Yeah, we don't want to hear. I don't like that down.
Yeah, I want the doom and gloom, man. Don't tell me black crime and COVID and all that.
Give me this, Sharice. Renegade.
Yeah.
But okay, well, want positivity, guys. I'm gonna keep my head up, and I'm gonna stay. Like I said, I'm a Black conservative. I'm a Christian, so I'm gonna keep in this fight. Whatever God has for me is for me. Everything I believe everything is in God's will. So maybe this was in God to separate myself, and I know that He has bigger plans for me. So I'm just gonna continue in what I know God has for me, and I'm gonna do it.
Right. Charity, you got something to say before we sign off?
I mean, not really. I just like everyone's encouraging words and how everyone's been motivating and actually speaking the truth.
Word. All right. All right, y'all. Peace out. All right, y'all. Take care. Thank y'all for being on. Yes. Peace.